Hi guys, so today we're going to be talking about text structures. As you are viewing this Edpuzzle, if you don't already, I'd like for you to pause the video and pull up this document that says text structures. Now, when you go through Edpuzzle, if you have this as Edpuzzle in like this tab and you go to other tab, the Edpuzzle should pause, but I want you to make sure that you pause it manually or pause it on your own before you go to the document. So, like I said, though, we're talking about text structures, and the first text structure that we're going to be talking about is chronological order. So some keywords that come with chronological order are first, before, next, begins, and then, yesterday, next, recent, precede, before or else, third, before, last, and subsequently. Looking at this paragraph, I'm going to read it to you guys, and I would like for you to mark down or make a mental note of every time you hear a chronological keyword, which is going to be one of these words. So, the film that is set in the earliest in the MCU timeline is Captain America: The First Avenger. The Steve Rogers origin story begins in the year 1940 with Steve Evans and Bucky Barnes, Sebastian Stan's, enlisting and ends in 1945 with Steve's plane crashing and him being frozen for the next half century. Next up, we have Captain Marvel, which is actually one of the most recent Marvel movies, but whose events precede those of the main MCU timeline. Brie Larson's pilot character crashes her plane in the year 1989 and is subsequently trained as a Kree before returning to Earth in 1995, which is the year in which most of the Captain Marvel takes place. Okay, so pause your video and go over to text structures, and I want you to list all of the keywords that you saw in that first paragraph. Okay, with that paused, let's look at these next ones. So these are some of the ones that you should have come up with. There's first, begins, ends, next, recent, precedes, and before. So if you have not had those written down yet, go back into your doc and write them down. Next, we're going to look at sequence or order of importance. Now, sequence is something that describes the event or described in the events they occur. So this will be a step-by-step. This little graphic is looking at how to tie your shoes. This one over here is talking about how to make a peanut butter and jelly. The thing to remember with sequence is that it does not take place at any specific point in time. So looking back over to your doc, for number 2, you're going to create a sequence list for a simple task. This can be sharpening your pencil, walking to your furthest class, getting food in the cafeteria. Go ahead and pause the video right now and do that. Okay, now moving on to our next one, we're looking at cause and effect. So this explains why something happened and the effects of that something. So here's our cause. You ignore your dog, you don't pet your dog, you don't love your dog, you don't feed your dog. The effect of that is that your dog runs away, your dog finds a better life, and your dog gets adopted by Miss Darty. Now, for your doc, I would like for you to look at what would be a positive and what would be a negative and a positive cause and effect of peer pressure. So whatever you think might be the negative one, some negative effects of peer pressure, the cause and the effect, and the positive effects of peer pressure, the cause and the effect. Go ahead and pause the video now and do that. And when you've unpaused, we're moving on to problem and solution. So the problem, or not the problem, sorry, let me just fix that. So with problem solution, it shows what's in common and what's different. So if our problem is Mrs. Johnson is going to Portugal but doesn't speak Portuguese, the solution is that Miss Johnson should learn Portuguese. Now, we're going back over to our document and we're going to talk about the problem and the solution. Our topic is going to be homelessness. So you're going to talk about what the problem is and you're going to talk about what possible solutions are. Go ahead and pause the video and start doing that. When you come back, we're going to be looking at compare and contrast. So compare and contrast is when you are looking at the similarities and when you are looking at the differences of a topic. So you're going to look at these two pictures. Compare will be finding the similarities. What is similar about these pictures? Here is Miss Mangum Wilson with her husband, and then here is Miss Mangum Wilson with not her husband. What are similar to these pictures? Then you're going to look at the contrast. So what is different about these pictures? Once again, Miss Mangum Wilson with her husband and Miss Mangum Wilson not with her husband. Okay, now we're going on back to your doc, and we're going to compare the following and contrast the following. And our topic is going to be math and English. So what does math and English have in common? What does math and English not have in common? Okay, now looking at our doc, we are going to be looking at this list of instructions because it's going to help us with the PowerPoint. So it says, now you will look at 10 paragraphs and answer which text structure is being used and how you know. When you answer the how do you know portion, you can answer with keywords that you saw or other ways that authors show us the text structure they are using in their writing. So on our practices, read the paragraph, identify the text structure, write it down. I'm going to read the paragraph and then I'm going to pause so that you can stop the video and write down what text structure is being used and how you might know. So number 1, deviled eggs. Pop out, remove the egg yolks in a small bowl and mash with a fork. Add mayonnaise, mustard powder, vinegar, salt, and pepper and mix thoroughly. Fill the empty egg whites shells with the mixture and sprinkle lightly with paprika. Cover lightly with a plastic wrap and refrigerate for up to 1 day before serving. Go back to your doc. This was number 1. Go ahead and pause the video now so that you can answer. Okay, and coming back, so now we're going to talk about sports at Erickson. So there are 2 popular sports played at Erickson, basketball and volleyball. Both take place inside of the gym at Erickson. Also, each sport has 2 teams of people. In basketball, however, the ball can be played off of the floor, and in volleyball, the ball cannot touch the floor or it is out of play. Basketball and volleyball are very popular sports at Erickson. Okay, so this is number 2. Tell me, what is the text structure? Tell me how you might know that. Go ahead and pause the video now. And then going on to 3, the lazy student. When Tim woke up, he didn't want to go to school. His mom took him anyway, so he went to school, but he didn't do any work. The days passed and Tim still didn't do any work. Mr. Morton called Tim's house, but Tim still wouldn't do any work. Finally, the report cards came out, and Tim failed his classes. Tim was sad. Okay, so for number 3, text structure, how you might know. Go ahead and pause the video. And then for number 4, failing classes. Failing classes. Lots of students fail classes. Some students fail because their work is too hard for them. Other times they may fail because they're lazy and don't do any work. Another reason why students may fail is if they don't go to school. If you're not in class, you may miss a lot. Many students fail classes every quarter. Now, this isn't referring to any of you guys. These are just paragraphs. But back on our doc for number 4, go ahead, pause the video and fill out number 4. And then number 5. A lot of students have been failing classes. These students wouldn't be failing classes if they studied more, asked questions, tried harder, or came in for extra help. Even though a lot of students fail classes, they have many options if they want to pass. So on number 5, talk about what the text structure is, talk about how you know, and pause the video. All right, number 6, our halfway mark, or our over halfway mark, actually. So Gail Devers. It should not be Denver's. Gail Devers. Devers experienced the highlight of many sprinters' careers as she stood on the huge platform in the giant stadium and received an Olympic gold medal. 18 months earlier, she wasn't thinking about running. She was hoping that she would be able to walk again. Just 4 years earlier, in the summer of 1988, as Devers was training for the Olympic Games to be held in Seoul, South Korea, she began to feel very tired all the time and failed to make the Olympic finals. So on number 6, tell me what the text structure is. Tell me how you know. And pause our video. Then for number 7, 3 types of circus clowns. So generally, there are 3 categories of circus clowns: whiteface, August, and character. Each has a specific makeup style and costume. Each has a typical act as well. The neat whiteface is usually a strict, in-charge character who sets up the punchline for the joke with a partner. His facial features are neatly detailed in red or black. Circus legend has it that the August clown got his name from the German nickname for someone who is clumsy. The August wears light-colored makeup, but white is used around the mouth and eyes, and there's a big red nose. This clown performs a great deal of slapstick humor. Character clowns perform as different personalities: cowboys, scarecrows, grandmothers, or symphony conductors. The most famous character clown, however, is the tramp. Tramps wear different styles of makeup and costumes that are torn or shabby. Some tramp clowns are happy-go-lucky, others are extremely sad. Still, others act like gentlemen who just happen to be out of money. So for number 7, what is our text structure? How do you know? And pause the video. For 8, our paragraph says 1, plug in the lamp. 2, place a sample of what you wish to observe on the slide. 3, adjust the mirror so it reflects light from the room up into the objective lens. 4, place your slide with the specimen directly over the center of the glass circle on the stage. 5, with the low power objective lens placed over the slide, use the coarse focus knob. 6, look through the eyepiece with one eye while closing the other. 7, use the fine focus knob to find. And then on 8, add the text structure, add how you know, and pause the video. 9, one more after this. Fewer toads. Though toads are still around, they no longer are as common in some areas as they were a few decades ago. The growing use of insecticides has reduced their numbers. The chemical sprays usually do no harm to toads, but cut down the animal's food supply. Thereby, the toads do not have enough food to survive. There are fewer toads in many areas populated by humans. So number 9, what is our text structure? How do we know? And lastly, number 10, restoring toads. Dr. Knapp doesn't want people to sit back and let the toads vanish. He believes that everyone is responsible for restoring the toad species. Dr. Knapp thinks we could help restore the toad population if we stop mowing parts of our lawn and let the grass grow wild to reserve space for the toad. He also believes we need to stop using pesticides and fertilizers. The chemicals kill the insects that toads eat. If we preserve some space in our lawn and stop using fertilizers, Dr. Knapp believes we can save the toads. Okay, so that was your last one. Go ahead and fill it out here. When you have finished, please turn this in, and then you should be able to look on the board, or you can ask your teacher of what is something you can do next. And thanks. I'll see you guys later.